It's still the morning flight on Love World Expressions where we entertain you beyond borders. From the Fala representatives, we'll be moving to another area. We'll be talking about skills. Some skills, Basa, Paul.
Yes, some skills. What about skills? I had to go through all of the demography and try to find out concerning skills. But before the skills, the first point of call is education in itself, because skills, people need to acquire skills. Because in the present day economy of Nigeria, or where we are right now, taking Nigeria as a sample, we find out that we have a good number of persons coming out from schools and finishing schools and not having the employment that they're supposed to get. And with that, it means that we are having over, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, we're having over close to 1 million graduates every year. And the schools are bringing out these people, and when they come out, there's not enough position or places for them to get to work. That is why that people have to really look beyond education is good, but we have to now look at the angle of skill acquisition, so that a person become relevant. I know, like I said, over some time, I said that education practically is about leading out the inborn and innate potentialities of a man that makes him or her relevant to society at large. If you want to get relevant to society, you have to have some skill or something that will make you be useful. But over time, we're seeing that we've had many more people come out of the universities, go through the NYSC, and they're coming out and there are no jobs. So every year you're having, as of 2019, the statistics show that we had over 600,000 persons coming out of coming out of schools and looking for job. And before last year, 2020, you had also that the statistics also show that because of the impact of the pandemic, you've had many people that even those that had their jobs lose their jobs. So many people lost their jobs, and you're having more people come out. So the influx of the people that are coming into the labor market per se, and those that are in the labor market that lost their job, it's so much gap. So what happens to this number of persons where there are not enough jobs? That is why that people need to start looking at the aspect of acquiring a skill, because without that you cannot be relevant to society. Because I want to say this, that the programming of the Nigerian mentality or the Nigerian mind is that get an education to escape poverty. But that's why it's more like I'm in school now because I don't want to become an accountant. But go through all of the demography of the Nigerian youth presently. How many persons are really practicing what they learned at school? It's no longer, what did I read in school? It's about you coming out to ensure that beyond the reading, get an education. But I want that so that we can have an infusion in our educational syllabus and our system, where we can have skill acquisition, be a part of it. Just like you have in your university, you have something called a general studies or general knowledge, a particular course you add to your main course. We can have skills so that if you have 600 persons coming out of 600,000 or close to 1 million, because from this year it's going to get to 1 million according to the statistics that we have that's online available. If you have 1 million graduate young people coming out of school, that means 1 million persons have, apart from their main course, if a person is an accountant or is a lawyer, he can also sew. That's into the fashion industry.
Or
bake per se. Because we can have that inclusive.
Or
be a photographer or something. We can have it inclusive in this, because in it, we can help buffer what's already happening. Because if not, you're having over 1 million persons coming out every single year, and there are no jobs. There are not 1 million jobs offers available in the country right now.
You find just employees coming out.
You just find out because
not employers.
Not employers. And right now, presently, what people are saying is that even according to the National University Council, you're having more persons, more people want to register for private universities, want to register.
Wait, that. Chioma.
Listening to him is amazing, because he just gave us the stats according to the MBS, and rightly said, when you talk about finances, universities, it's all about income and expenditure. Now, when there is no income and there's a lot of expenditure, there's going to be debt. And that's what we've seen happen with the educational system. We're expanding, we're releasing a lot of graduates over the years, but nothing sustainable. So every time you hear sustainable development goals by the government, trying to empower these people, one empowerment program or the other. Not to say empowerment programs are bad, but there's got to be a change of strategy. A man God has told us that only a madman does the same thing 5 times consecutively and expects a different results. So an inclusion of skills acquisition into the educational system is very key because, like you said, with the advent of the pandemic, we saw that this tradition of go through primary school, secondary school, get to the university, I love music, you start studying music, or I love accounting, you want to become an accountant in life. We've seen how the state of the economy or the state of the country has actually destroyed the dreams of many people. And look, when this is a particular routine that has happened over time, what do you do to buffer? Because we're talking about creating buffers. These skills, what can I do? In as much as education is important, this skill acquisition also keeps you moving. Presenting is a skill. What we do here on the morning flight is a skill because everything boils down to having a sustainable finance, because you cannot go to school and be an accountant and you are sitting down at home and what are you accounting for? Accountants need to account for money. They've got to do something. So presenting is a skill. Catering, like you rightly mentioned, these are skills that can be learned. I remember in school we had what they call the home economics. Yeah. You either had the opportunity of learning how to, so we learned how to make pillowcases, we learned how to cook some certain food, we knew how to do, when it came to fine art, the paper mache. These are skill acquisitions that can actually bring money to you, because we're talking finances here, marketable skills, profitable skills, hairdressing, web designing. There are several skills that you can learn, and this has nothing to go into going into the 4 walls of a university. Pastor tells us something, you can have a D in university, but never have a D in life. And these are the things that we're teaching that you can learn from. You can become, learn web designing, learn catering, learn how to present like we're doing right now, learn how to do one-to-many things. And it's for your own good. It's marketable, it's profitable, and people would always look for someone who knows the technique, the word is a technical know-how. You know how to do it. I would want to employ someone who knows how to handle the field. Not just employers, churning out employees. Become an employer of labor. Who says that you cannot employ 10 people under your umbrella of businesses? And you can. And it's not about I'm female, I'm male. Anybody can be anything that you make up your mind to be. All you need to do is say, yes, I'm going to acquire the skill and I'm going to be this thing regardless of what the situation of the economy is right now in my country.
Paul, imagine a gentleman who comes in the mold of a reporter, a cameraman, and an editor.
That man.
Okay, wait. we'll
Because Paul is ready to charge on that answer.
Okay, I understand that Kelechi Anyaleti is joining us virtually. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you on our program yet again. What will you call a high profitable skill?
I didn't get you.
Okay, how will you describe a high profitable skill?
Oh, okay. A high profitable skill for me, I look at it at the kind of skill that can help you generate income. Of course, by creating value with what I call it, the limited or with the best use of resources. And by that, I mean both financial resources and every other resource available to you. That's why I look at it as high profitable, because there are many other factors. When you look at profit, you're looking at what are the different areas that are involved in generating profit. So that's where I want to start from, looking at what is a high profitable skill. I'm looking at skill that I can bring in and use without having to exact so much strain in regards to maybe capital and other overhead expenditure.
Okay. Thank you for that, sir. But also, I want to find out, what we have in the country, or like looking at Nigeria now, you'd have people survival versus necessity. You have people, wanting to, I'm doing this because I just want to survive. Or but what skill will a person, what are the mold that a person must have in order to learn all of these skills, the trainings a person must do, what are the traits a person must have? Because we know that most people are doing something just for survival. Survival versus necessity. What are the things that the person needs to, the traits a person must have in learning these skills?
Kelechi, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Did you hear the question, or you want him to repeat it?
I can hear you well.
Okay, Paul.
Okay, sir. What I said is that for the Nigerian youth today in the country, people are doing different jobs because of survival. People are there for survival, and we're looking at survival mode. What are the traits? What attributes would a person have to do in order to learn a skill based on looking at survival versus necessity?
Kelechi. Okay. Yeah, I was talking about a three-legged player.
Yes.
The other time, which is still in tandem. What we're talking about. Somebody who probably comes in the mold of a reporter, a cameraman, and an editor.
Yeah.
That person is one that will be in want and in need at all times. Because at every given time, until Jesus comes, there will be a need for photography and for moments. Everybody wants to have the moments. So we are going to be having events happening. So you are in need at all times. They say the man that will always be welcomed is the one that delivers the goods. He's going to be delivering on the photography of the part. Also, you have events at any given time. Some person will need a reportage of a matter or an event or anything at all. You also can go there. And for the person that I've also learned web designing, at every given time, you have people that want to go into branding, that they're thinking that I want to really go from where I am to another level. So I would need a web designer. I would need someone to get to this. So all of these skills will come in handy at every given time, and you will come in high demand. Something happened that in statistics, it was said that, let me just take an example for the taxi cab. The taxi cab, the person that runs the taxi cab in Lagos, we're going to be earning differently from the one that runs in Adamawa, based on the different people, because you find out that you have more persons here in Lagos because of the thing. And when you're running it, are you running it on a day-to-day, or you're doing the taxi cab service? A particular survey was done, and the man in Abuja said, a particular taxi cab driver in Abuja said that he was running, he thought to his mind he could just earn about 4,000 within an hour. But he found out that in his consistency, you could run to the airport, go to the airport and come back. While he's returning back, he's taking people back from the airport the other way. He found out that he was able to make about 9,000 in an hour. Yeah. That is Abuja, and this is Lagos.
10,000 thereabouts.
Or 10,000 thereabouts. So you're looking at all of these things. It shows that if you go into it, find out even the Uber, any other person you're running any service you're doing, you find out that there is more to it. You are driving is what you love to do, but you are being paid for the service. Over time, you can really get some much money for that. So in all of these things, example also is the one that is into catering. As long as time is on until Christ comes, there'll always be events. People are having birthdays, people are having burials, people are having coronations, people are having everything. There'll be a demand for you. So in learning that part, you're saying that as a caterer, you are in high demand, because the moment you've learned, you have to put due diligence into learning what you're doing, and you find out that most times when you do
Paul,
it.
Sorry, I understand Kelechi is back. Kelechi, glad to have you back
please.
on the program.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay, Paul did ask a question the other time. I hope you got the question.
I didn't get the question, so if you can ask again.
Okay, so I was asking, I said for the Nigerian youth, trying to get to do survival mode versus necessity, what interest will one have to get in order to learn a skill?
It's kind of faint.
Sorry, sir, did you get that, sir?
What interest?
I didn't get you well.
Okay, what I said, okay, in order to learn a skill, what interest will a person have to develop in order to learn a skill? That looking at whether it's survival mode or it's necessity, to get to move on. What
Okay.
interest will a person have
For
to
me,
get?
I think the very important skill, even though I will not use it in the context of the real meaning, the skill of problem solving. It may not be the best way, but I'm using that because I want to be able to explain. I think I explained that one of the times we had a conversation around something similar to this, around the value chain, and I talked about identifying problems and then being able to create a solution. So for a young person, I think that's the where you should start from. Or if you want to use another skill, we can call it value creation skill. And that may not be the real word, but in a way that you are having that drive and interest in creating value. Once you have that as your foundation, it helps. Because in everything you want to do, you want to develop skill, you know that the idea around it is not necessarily for the fact that I'm just creating or developing a skill because everybody is developing skill or we're told we have to develop skills. But you're looking at this from that perspective of I have to create value at every point in life. I think for me, that's the first phase of it. If you're able to build up from there, it will even guide you in knowing what skills do I have to now develop to create that value that I want, whichever way I want to, make positive contributions in our society. That's where it starts from. And when you have that desire, it starts directing you to know the right kind of skill that you should develop per time. I don't really believe I know that it's very good. We tell people, skills are very important. You need to develop skill, but you also need to be able to develop the skill that can help you create maximum value, give you fulfillment and satisfaction in whatever it is that you're doing.
Not just any skill.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, okay, please. I want to also find out if anyone is wanting to go into any skill, what's your top 10 or even top 15 skills that the Nigerian youth can really put energy into, exert energy into, that will make him or her very, very productive at the end of the day?
There's so much, but before I give some examples, um, I'd like to segment them. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're creating value around food. We're looking at humans. Let me just, when I mean this, like human beings are critical, major needs: food, shelter, clothing, education, health. For me, these are 5 critical. And now, because of where the world is going, of course, you have to add technology and media. So these are very critical areas that man generally or human beings survive on. So no matter the situation or no matter the circumstance, people would have to eat. People would have to wear clothes. They have to be covered. People require shelter in some way. Their health is very critical to them. People have to go to school, and it's like a transition. So a set is moving to the next level, another set is coming in. So there are some people who may move from a primary school to secondary school. As they are moving and like that to university, there are those who are not yet enrolled in school who are coming in. So education keeps going. So these are 5 broad areas I would use in encouraging people that you want to develop skill. You need to look around these 5 critical areas. Like I said again, food, shelter, clothing, health, and then we add technology and media, because now everybody wants to, with media and technology, it helps for communication, for conversations. So when you have this broad idea, you now have to start looking out for where are the areas that I can plug in, because they are wide. We can talk around different things and then look at them around these areas. For example, the health. People, have to stay healthy to stay alive. Incidentally, last year during the whole lockdown shenanigans and all, you realize that one of the major sectors that made a lot of money, and I'm talking about even here in Nigeria. I mean, I had a conversation with someone towards the end of the last year, I think in December. He came to visit me and we're talking. He plays around that field, pharmaceuticals in the marketing aspect. And he was telling me the surge that came in. people were struggling to survive. So there were certain medications that people were buying because they wanted to, whether it's boost their immune system, whatever it is. So people were just generally making orders. They said they were bringing in, they were selling off and all. So that's and until now it still continues, because whether you like it or not, if you go in there many years ago, of course I know the price of things have changed, but I'm not too conversant. But I know that at the time paracetamol was 10 naira, and you'll be amazed of the millions, if possible billions of naira that is being made from that aspect. But well, that's a big word. Let's bring it home. So there are other simple things that people can do today. Let's look at freelance. The freelance is also a bit broad, because in freelance you can look at graphics, you can look at web design, you can look at photography. There's so many things people do today that